Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to this month's Lunch and Learn Reducing Workplace Risks over the Festive Period with me, Vicky Sutton of Safety Forward. Just to let you all know that this session will be recorded. Now, as we gear up for the festive season, obviously excitement builds, but so does the workplace risks. And today we're going to explore the most common seasonal hazards and how to avoid them. This isn't about killing the festive spirit, it's about making sure that everybody enjoys safely and returns in January without any injury. Christmas is not only a time where the decorations and festivities take place at home. Many of their employers will encourage employees to actively celebrate in their workplace. With the Christmas tree going up, lights, tinsel and decorations being hung, it's important that an element of risk is assessed and health and safety is not compromised, whether working in an office, warehouse, manufacturing or retail environment. So why does it matter? So the build-up around Christmas is often one of the most exciting and busiest times of the year for most UK businesses, but it's statistically one of the riskiest times of year for workplace incidents. And why is that? So thinking about all the extra distractions, celebrations, temporary decorations and weather conditions all play a part. A single accident can ruin somebody's holiday and impact business continuity. Keeping safety front of mind helps prevent both people and productivity. The Health and Safety Executive reports that injury rates consistently peak in November and December, driven by seasonal pressures and the rush to meet year-end targets. So failing to take health and safety seriously can lead to physical harm for your employees and the public, ranging from minor accidents and injuries to more deadly outcomes. Alongside this, you could lose out financially from damage to equipment and your premises, and these delays whilst damages are being fixed may result in reduced capacity, productivity and even closure, and not to mention the possibility of fines and reputational damage. To avoid damage within the organisation, health and safety needs to become the responsibility of everybody within the business. To drive this forward, you will need a representative whose job it is to ensure best practice is followed. Staff are educated to a high standard in health and safety procedures. Going home safely at the end of a workday is the most important thing so that we can all spend the festive period without mishap or injury. So the rush to meet year-end targets, usually the pressure increases, combined with social and family pressures can lead to increased stress and fatigue amongst employees. This can result in lapses in concentration and a higher risk of accidents. So we need to make sure that we do encourage regular breaks, realistic workload planning and open communication about stress management. It's especially prevalent in a time when employees are working from home more often and struggling to create that work-life balance. The increase is potentially work-related stress and compounded by the shrinking daylight hours and potential personal difficulties individuals may face at Christmas. Many businesses hire temporary workers during the festive season, especially in retail, hospitality and logistics. These staff may not be fully trained or familiar with workplace procedures, again increasing that risk of accidents occurring. Sometimes though the festive season does bring an influx of temporary workers, especially if we're looking at warehousing, retail, logistics and hospitality. And inadequate onboarding and training can lead to manual handling injuries, which still remain the most common cause of absences lasting 3 or more days. The festive period often involves increased deliveries, stock movement and rearranging of office or retail spaces. And improper lifting techniques can lead to musculoskeletal injuries. So we need to make sure that we're still providing that manual handling training and encourage the appropriate equipment to be used. Ensure all staff, including temporary workers, receive a proper induction and training on health and safety procedures, even if they're only going to be with your business for that short period over Christmas. So whilst it isn't possible to prevent every accident or injury at work, businesses must give attention to preventing and recording those incidents. The festive rush often leads to underreporting of incidents, usually because people are up against it on timescales, increased demand on their workload. Often people don't report incidents or near misses. But even those minor injuries or near misses should still be logged and investigated. Early reporting prevents more serious accidents and keeps everyone aware of hazards. Adequate and suitable risk assessments must be carried out and kept up to date for all activities and meet compliance. These still include your fire alarms, emergency lighting, pat testing of electrical equipment. And just because it's Christmas, we've still got the legal requirement under workplace safety laws to document all these accidents and near misses. So thinking about the trailing cables and trip hazards, so at Christmas time we do like to get the extra decorations up. Temporary decorations though often mean extra cables. Think about those fairy lights, sound systems or heaters during the cold spells. These can quickly become trip hazards if not secured properly. So remember to use your cable covers, avoid running wires across walkways and behind desk space, and regularly check the decorations aren't blocking fire exits or fire routes. Common occurrence is the extension leads plugged into extension leads, which we often refer to as daisy chaining. However, this can result in fires. Whilst it might feel like a simple fix when your extension cable doesn't quite reach its desired destination, it's a huge fire hazard and should not be done under any circumstances. Poor cable management such as this leads to overheating and fires. Also ensure that you're checking for any overloaded sockets or unsafe lights used on workstations, and these may be old lights that an employee has brought in from home. Fan heaters in particular should be plugged directly into the wall and checked before use, and the cable should be fully extended. Otherwise, a coil could act as a heat mechanism causing fires. If the cable is winding back on itself, try using electrical tape to keep it in place, but avoid using duct tape as it isn't heat resistant. Now, many businesses like to take the Christmas decorations to the exterior of the building to get that feel as you approach the building. But do not run extension cables under carpets, through windows and doorways or across driveways, or in any areas where external furniture can damage the cable or cause a trip hazard, particularly where we've got employees coming in through the building, or we may have members of the public approaching your building as well. Now, December's likely to be quite a wet month, and we've got to be careful that the cable connections should be kept above ground and away from any water and any puddles that may be accumulating on car park areas or outside of your reception areas. Also ensure if we are plugging anything electrical in outside that we are using external electrical sockets that are to the correct rating for weatherproofing. So towards the end of the year, with people's minds usually in other places or looking forward to the Christmas break, it's easy to let those standards slip. People are tired and focused on the holidays, but complacency is one of the biggest contributors to workplace accidents. And ultimately, the majority of the workforce are rushing to get finished. And as a result, corners are cut and health and safety can quite often be the first thing to go out of the window. Training refreshers which highlight hazards and basic housekeeping, such as not blocking fire escapes and routes with boxes from decorations, or clear out of the cupboard, pat testing those dodgy looking fairy lights can all help. And a reminder about not overloading those extension leads. It doesn't take long to do, but can save lives. Encourage teams to stay focused and maintain the same vigilance as any other time of the year. A simple reminder for a manager can go a long way. Now, we've just very briefly mentioned the winter weather there coming in, but there is an increase in the number of incidents at this time of year, especially where people are travelling between home and work. Now, winter weather adds hazards, so whether that's wet floors, icy entrances, dark mornings and evenings. And understandably, added travel pressures can be stressful, whether as a professional driver or as a commuter, making it important for businesses to have that higher focus on health and safety during this period. So make sure that we are putting grit or salt outdoors regularly onto pathways and ensuring lighting is adequate and placemats are at entrances of the building. We need to make sure that we still encourage staff to wear appropriate footwear when commuting or walking between buildings. The construction industry or other trades expected to work outdoors are particularly affected by this period, and more should be done to ensure workers are kept safe and warm. So festive parties, I think most people, when we think about breaking up from work, is where most people's minds will go, is that end of year Christmas party. So we all want to enjoy Christmas, perhaps with a few nibbles and a glass of bubbly on the last working day, but ensure alcohol is consumed responsibly and consider providing food and non-alcoholic options as well. Excessive alcohol consumption can lead to impaired judgment, aggression, harassment, and accidents like slips, trips, and falls. However, please remember that your employees may be operating plant and machinery, and others may be driving home to enjoy this time with their family. So when we're serving food, just consider its preparation, storage, and how it's shared. So cover food, keep it refrigerated, and never leave it out for long periods of time to prevent any bacterial growth. Also, make sure we do consider food allergens or contamination issues. I think where we're going out for organised events, we always think about food allergens when we're selecting that food menu, but internal office parties, just be mindful where people may be bringing food in if we do have any allergies within the workplace. Now, work parties are great for morale, but can also create risks. So set clear expectations and guidelines to balance fun with safety. Plan transport options in advance and encourage staff to use public transport, taxis, or designated drivers, and consider ending parties early enough for safe journeys home. Reinforce respectful behaviour. So what happens at the Christmas party still reflects on the workplace. Reduced inhibitions can lead to inappropriate or harassing behaviour and potentially violent incidents. It's important that organisations clearly state the boundaries of any work event, reiterating that the Christmas party is still technically a work-related activity and all behaviour at the party will continue to be covered by company procedures. So dangerous decorations, we don't necessarily think our decorations may be dangerous, but it is important for employers to make sure that the decorations do not compromise the safety of employees in the workplace. So a tree can make Christmas, yet it shouldn't come at the expense of safety. Decorations are fun, but can introduce fire risks or obstruct exits. So choose an area where you're not going to obstruct any signage, fire exits and extinguishers, and hanging decorations with fire sprinklers, particularly in a warehouse environment, can prevent them from working properly. You need to be careful that the Christmas tree is positioned, that it doesn't create access and egress issues. So think about avoiding those high traffic or high footfall routes as well. Find that sweet spot within the office where your tree is visible without creating any undesirable trip or fall hazards. It also needs to be secured, so think about the stand, or is it likely to get knocked in the route where you placed it? We don't want to be positioned too close to any heat source either. And just remember, the larger the tree, the harder the fall. And not only is there a risk of personal injury, but with any potential fire from the fairy lights. If you do decide you're going to use a real tree, just be aware of the needles drying out, as they will become more flammable. So dry needles combined with hot fairy lights which have been left on all day can be disastrous. Ensure that lights are turned off and unplugged before leaving for the day is the best way to avoid any fires. When choosing an artificial tree, choose carefully and check the label to make sure that it is flame resistant to eliminate the hazard of a potential fire. It is unlikely that your Christmas lights will have been hidden away in storage, but your lights are still electrical equipment and the electrical flex or individual bulbs may have deteriorated over time. If your lights have been stored in that out of the way store cupboard where everything goes that you don't want on display in the office, they may well have become damaged. So before hanging any decorations, Remember to check the cables and strings for breakages, and don't forget to include your lights in your pack testing schedule. These often do get forgotten as they get stored away at the end of the year. And always avoid candles and keep decorations away from heaters or lights. Baubles are fragile and will likely break, leaving you with broken glass. So reduce that risk by replacing them for shatterproof decorations and use hangers that are secure and not likely to snap. Tinsel and other foil ceiling hung decorations are made from highly flammable materials, and when hung on the ceiling or walls are at risk from falling. Do not hang any of your heavy decorations from the ceiling. If they fall, they will likely result in an injury. If it's a Christmas smell that you're trying to achieve within your workspace, try using some of the essential oils with a diffuser, and room sprays as a great alternative. Do not use scented candles within the workplace. Okay, so I think we all probably see this happen at some point. So when it comes to decorating your tree, once again, there's several sensible precautions that should be taken. And remember, as far as health and safety law is concerned, decorating your workplace Christmas tree, to all intents and purposes, is a work-based activity. So hence, it should be planned and carried out safely. Something often missed by employers and employees is the risk involved in the setup itself, from retrieving the decorations from the storage area to the decorating itself. It sounds obvious, but every year someone stands on a chair to hang decorations or to reach a shelf. Swivel chairs can easily roll or tip, leading to serious injury. And never use that swivel chair in the office when working at height, as you may end up falling, not only injuring yourself, but it may be a colleague that's assisting you in putting the decorations up. So provide those step ladders or step stools, and remind everybody to ask for help if they can't reach something safely. But please make sure that those ladder inspections have been carried out. So as a quick recap, tips that have covered our festive season there. Safety is everybody's responsibility, and ensure your team that stay alert, look out for one another and report hazards immediately. The goal is simple: enjoy the holidays and come back refreshed and not injured.